Okay, let's do some of these problems for exam 3. This is lab number 9. Question number 1 is about monopoly. The monopoly is actually to find the output that maximizes profits. Does the same thing that a perfect competition firm does, is to make marginal revenue equals to marginal cost. The main difference is that for the monopolies, marginal revenue is not going to be the same as price. Marginal cost is it's pretty easy to find. We've done that before. It's going to be the derivative of the total cost equation with respect to output. So that's going to be equal in this case to 2.05 times 2. The marginal revenue is where things got a little different, but difficult. But if you've done this many times, you should be pretty straightforward. We know that marginal revenue is the derivative of total revenue with respect to output. Now, total revenue is price times quantity. Now we know that price is 90 minus 0.04 Q. So that times Q is going to be equal to 90 Q minus 0.04 Q squared. And that's the total revenue equation, and all we have to do now is to take the derivative of that equation to find marginal revenue. So marginal revenue is going to be equal to 90 minus 0.08 Q. And now we make that equal to marginal cost, so this will be 90 minus 0.08 Q equals 0.81 Q. And then solve for Q. So Q equals 500. Then plug that back into the price equation to find price. Remember that you have to plug it back into the original equation, which is this one, not into the marginal revenue equation, to find the price. So times 500 is 20. So P is 70. Okay, so if you have to draw this in a diagram, basically you have Q here, P here, demand curve is downward sloping, marginal revenue curve is always below the demand curve, and the marginal cost curve is upward sloping. This is the point at which the monopolies will produce, but the price is up here in the demand curve. Okay, so that's the answer to part A of this problem. Part B says find the profit maximizing. Oh, that's what we did in the previous one. With the firm, all economic profits are not. Usually for a monopoly, the answer is yes, but you can calculate this on your own. Remember that profits are equal to total revenue minus total cost. Total revenue is price times quantity, so in this case it's 500 times 70, so that's 35,000. And then total cost, we had an equation for it in the previous problem. And once you find that, to find the profit, you subtract the total revenue from the total cost. Now the next part of the problem, let's see if I can switch this a little bit. That's not it. Let's see here. That's not it either. But the next problem says, suppose that the Surgeon General announces that recent research has proved that widget that they keeps the doctor away, hence the demand for widget increased by 25%. We didn't actually, I didn't actually require to find the optimal level of output. And just in general, you need to know what happens to profitability. While the demand actually increases, then clearly the monopolist will be able to increase profits because there's actually more demand for its product. Now, if the government wants to encourage competition, then they're basically going to turn the monopolist into perfectly competitive. Let's do the diagram here again, just to see what happens. P, demand curve, marginal revenue curve, marginal cost curve. The monopolist produces here 500, and this is 70. If the perfectly competitive firm, if this was a perfectly competitive industry, they'll produce here where price equals marginal cost. At that point, the quantity is more and the price is lower. And here's the problem with the monopoly, is that they will charge a higher price and produce a lower quantity compared to a perfectly competitive industry. Now, now that we know what the how to find welfare by using the ideas of consumer and producer surplus, we could find what is the actual loss of welfare as a result of the monopoly. Let's say we call this area here A, and this B, C, D, E, F, and G. Well, with perfect competition, then the consumer surplus is, well, the price is P, let's call this P, P2. So at that price, consumer surplus is A plus B plus C plus D plus F, and producer surplus is going to be E plus G. Now with monopoly, let's do this one here. With monopoly, the consumer surplus, well, the price ended up being 70, so the consumer surplus is A plus B, so you see that the producers lost C, D, and F, but C and D went to the producer because the producer surplus for the monopolist is now C plus D plus E. Now, since the monopolist only produced 50 units, F and G are gone, so F plus G is really a deadweight loss, and it's really the reasons why monopolies are bad for society, is because there was some benefits that people were getting from those extra units beyond 50 units that they were getting from purchasing those units, and since those units are not purchased anymore, then there's no benefits from those things. So the loss of those benefits is called deadweight loss. Now this is problem number 2, and this problem is within class. As long as you know the formula for the marginal revenue in terms of elasticity, and as long as you know that the goal, or the way that the monopolist can actually increase maximize revenue when you have two markets, is by making the marginal revenue in market 1, which in this case will be the East, equal to the marginal revenue in the West. So we know that marginal revenue is also going to be equal to P times 1 minus 1 over the elasticity. So all we need to do is to find the both equations for both situations. In the case of the East, will be the price of East times 1 over the elasticity in that market, and that's going to be equal to the price in the West, 1 minus 1 over the elasticity in the West. And we know that we're in the right track if you're charging a higher price in the market that has a more inelastic supply in demand, and a lower price in the market that has a more elastic demand. So let's substitute here. The elasticity of demand for TV is 4 in the East, so we know that this is actually 4, and it's 10 in the West. So, and then the price of TV in the East is 60, so this is 60. So the company is basically looking for this price right here. So to answer this problem, all we'll have to do is to solve this equation for P West to find the answer. All right, so let's see if I can do that. 25. We have 45 on this side, and down here we have this is 0.9 PW, so it looks like PW is going to be $50. So they're charging $50 in the market with a higher elasticity and $60 in the market with a lower elasticity, which like I said. This problem actually requires a diagram, so I see now that this version here that I have doesn't have the diagram. So I will pose the answer to this problem that we did in class, but it's not that very different from the problem that we did at the beginning of this lab, so I'll disregard this one for now. And I think this is the last problem that we did in Monopoly. As soon as we have those problems, you should be good to go for the exam. So I'll try to post this before before the end of the night tonight, so you can go over some of those couple of problems that we went over now.